In this video I'm going to show you how to change the transmission oil on a KTM 2-stroke. My bike is a 2017 KTM 250XC and the oil drain is on the left hand side. You can just see it, it's buried quite a long way in, just here behind the shift lever. And I'm going to be showing you how to use the Tokyo Offroad oil drain tool, which eases the oil draining and stops oil getting all over the frame and the skid plate. Typically you'd want to take the skid plate off when draining oil so you don't make a mess, but using the oil drain tool you can leave it on. So this is the Tokyo Offroad oil drain tool. This is the long version intended for 2017 and 2018 models. It comes as a kit with a long tube and also a bung. This is actually a deluxe version. The standard kit comes with a plastic bung. To do the oil change you're going to need a few tools. A 13mm socket to take the drain plug out. And then when you put the drain plug back in, it's always a good idea to use a new copper washer. And then you're going to need some oil. The recommended oil for KTM 2-stroke transmission is the Motorex 15W50 top speed oil. And my bike takes 800 milliliters. And I also need a wrench for my oil filler. If you just have a standard oil filler cap, then you can do it by hand. And you'll also need a drain pan to drain the oil into. Before you drain the oil, be sure to warm the bike up to operating temperature. I take it for about a 10-minute ride to get the oil nice and warm, make sure it drains properly. To fit the drain tool you need to lean the bike over, and before you lean the bike over be sure to turn your fuel off so it doesn't all drain out of the carburetor overflow. The first thing to do is lean the bike over, and I just rest the handlebars on a lift stand like this. If you've got bark busters sometimes it can slide around, so make sure it's resting securely. Then with the bike leant over using a 13mm socket. If you have a long reach socket like this is ideal. If you've just got a short one, you're going to need an extension because the drain bolt is recessed quite a bit. But undo the drain bolt, and the drain bolt has a copper washer which you need to remove as well. So make sure that comes off with the drain bolt. Like that. Then get your oil drain tool. It comes with a NBR O-ring. Make sure that's fitted correctly, otherwise oil can leak out. And screw it in by hand. It should screw in easily. And it just needs to be finger tight. Because it's got the O-ring, it creates a good seal. Don't use any tools on it because you don't want to over torque it. Once it's in there, grab the drain hose and put that on. Make sure the bung is fitted as well. Once you've fitted the drain tool, you can stand the bike up again on the side stand. To allow the oil to drain quicker, you can remove the oil filler cap. You don't have to do this, but as I say, if you do remove it, it'll allow air to enter into the gearbox and the oil will drain much quicker. Then with the drain pan in place you can take the bung out and drain the oil. Then when the majority of oil is drained out, I like to put the side stand up and tip the bike over to get the last bit of oil out. Then put the bung back in. Once you've finished draining the oil, tip the bike back over and rest it on the stand. Then you can remove the drain tool. And the drain tool has an O-ring on it, so make sure you remove that as well. Typically it stays on the threaded area like that. Before you reinstall the drain plug, be sure you clean off any debris that's collected on the magnetic plug. I use some parts cleaner and just spray it off onto some paper. And you should check that there's no large pieces of debris, which might indicate a problem in the gearbox. Then once you've cleaned the drain plug, I like to always use a new copper washer. Then you can go ahead and reinstall the drain plug. Before you do, make sure there's no dirt on the sealing surface of the drain, so that would make a good seal. I find it easiest if I put the drain plug into the socket, long socket, and then thread it in. Makes it much easier. And then this needs to be torqued to 20 Newton meters. Then with the side stand out, you can pick the bike up again. Now you're ready to fill it with oil. So the method I use for oil filling is I just measure out a quantity into a jug and pour it in. I don't actually bother setting the level. I know some people do, but I found this adequate and it's much easier. So I just measure out 800 milliliters into a jug. Then taking a measure of oil, you can refill the transmission. Make sure you don't fill it too quickly because it cannot overflow. Then the last step is to reinstall the oil filler. The oil filler has an O-ring, so make sure that isn't damaged and there's no dirt on the sealing surface. I'm using an aftermarket filler which requires a wrench, but you should be careful not to over torque it if you have one like this. Just need to snug it down so it doesn't loosen. If you have a stock one, you just do it finger tight. If you want to install the drain tube permanently on the drain tool, you can use a zip tie. You can probably see in this area of the drain tool, it has a recessed area. So when you slide the hose on, you can position a zip tie over that recessed area and it will actually grip very nicely. So just put the zip tie on, make sure it's over the recessed area. You can probably see there. And then tighten the zip tie. You don't need to have it extremely tight, but make sure it's nice and snug. And then you can trim it off. And that will hold it on nice and securely. If you have a KTM model up to 2016, I'd recommend getting the standard tool. The usage is exactly the same as I showed with the long tool, but the drain is on the right hand side. The reason you need the shorter tool is the drain on the right hand side is slightly recessed behind the rear brake pedal, and it would make it very difficult to use the long tool. And you can see in this video that the short tool fits just behind the rear brake pedal and is very easy to install.